So why is it that isolation changes us so much? Well, we're beings that are supposed to learn, especially the metacognitive. They create scenarios where they question. So they're questioning scenarios that aren't even real. Like somebody says, well, go learn how to be a carpenter. And we're thinking all these things that we know about carpentry. And we're trying to put them together and see how we're going to fit in there. How fast are we going to learn this? Is it going to be our strength or weakness, or is it just going to be another failure? So, we start thinking of all the tools, all the people we might meet. And that's where it gets complicated, is when we think about the people we're going to meet. And that's one thing I don't even have down yet. Not even a fraction of it is trying to predict people by where I'm going. And trying to do so is like so exhausting. But what's weird about isolation is that connection itself is like having a brother in arms sometimes. Depending on the people you're around, if you're not worried about what the person says being different from what they're thinking, then it's not going to raise alarms, and it's not going to conflict with what you're trying to predict and accomplish or whatever. Like you're given an assignment at work and it's a group assignment. What's the first thing you think of? How am I going to be able to fit in with everyone else, with all these different personalities? Like, how is this going to go? Who's going to try to step up first? Who's going to go with my idea? Who is going to have an idea that I'm going to go with? We're predicting all these things. So when you isolate, it cuts off the connection to that. But guess what? Your brain's still going. It's going in its own direction. So basically, you're writing a book, and everyone else is stuck on a book that someone else wrote. It's basically what it is. Like, you're trying to explain this book to this person, your discoveries, why you're feeling depressed, whatever it is. And they just kind of look at you like, huh? You ask somebody, where should I go next? But in their head, they're thinking, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing right now. You just get that look that you're like, well, I don't even want to be around people right now, Ask questions, but nobody has a damn answer for any question you're looking for. Man, and when you ask, you get attention, you just get this look like they're mind blown, like they're still putting the circles in the squares and the squares in the circles, and they're just, so they need that ground information before that. You're literally a hippo jumping on a frog, and they tried to jump out of the way, but their brain went bloop. And so their pattern recognition is thrown off because they don't recognize what you're talking about. They have no clue, and it's so frustrating because life doesn't have a guidebook like video games back in the day. So literally, you ask a question to anybody, and they're just like, they just go for whatever you want to do. But in isolation, it kind of changes. It changes because your brain's being tugged in so many different directions. You're not moving. So you're literally, only your cogs are working alone, an island away from every other continent. So you're going in a different direction than them, like an ant split from the group, whatever analogy you want to use. But it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating that you have these experiences that other people have no clue whatsoever. Like I said, they're still putting squares in the circle, and nobody to answer these questions. It's like, yeah, just jump in the grinder. Jump in the grinder, you'll come out sausage. And in that process, something changes internally and externally. Now you got this, little film surrounding you, whatever the hell that crap is. The stuff you have to tear off sausage sometimes, but that's the only thing holding you together. Because if you disconnect at that point, you start going off in your own direction, and you morph into something that has to re-morph into connection. But for a metacognitive, connection is so much harder to find because we're off in our own universes, and other people, they just can't, I don't want to say they can't keep up, but I just want to say that they don't have that information, that philosophy that just goes bam. But the question is, if they can't imagine those scenarios, even with scientific knowledge, could they understand? I'm blowing my own mind right now. Damn.